Hello folks, today I'm going to be taking a look at the Malign of the Alum Tomb, Drēaguth Unit for Darklands by Mierce Miniatures. This is the first of the ghasts, I suppose, or wight or wraith, whatever you want to be using them as, in Darklands. They're part of the Jute army, who were invited over, like the Saxons and Frisians, by the Romans or the Romani. Unfortunately, when things went south, we found out exactly just how corrupted the Jutes were, and hence the Malign of the Alum Tomb, Drēaguth. The models themselves, resin, nicely made. Small amount of flashing on some of the pieces, but really nicely captured detail. You can see there the skull balanced on the spine, just at the back of the hood. Rusted, decrepit weapons, and some interesting little details and pieces on the flowing robes. See, the sprue gates are relatively low down as well, so when they're purged, they're mostly hidden, so clean up should be very good. Castings are very good, except for one or two seams which are tricky to get to. So this one, you can see a seam line runs across the front. The upper portion is not difficult. Getting into the recesses, into those curves to clean that and hide it, slightly more so. But if I shift him out of the way, I can bring in the built version. You can see, oh, that's not him actually. This is him. That makes more sense. Very tall models. They come with a 50mm round. This one is based on the flat of that cloak. It's going to be 50mm to eye level and over 80mm to the top of the sword. So about 82. So really big, impressive pieces. Some straightening out required. The most fiddly thing, that thumb. As you may have noticed, it is separate on the hand. This is a common theme with these, beautifully sculpted by Edgar Skomorovitsky. That's almost undoubtedly not how you say that, but it's as close as I'm going to get. Sorry, Edgar. But the fact that you've got very small, fragile pieces like this to fit in is very tricky indeed. Another piece you can see, substantial flashing on some of it, but it's thin, so a stiff toothbrush will remove that when you're cleaning them anyway. This is our leader. So even though I picked these up as a pack, a unit of 5, you can get all of them individually. Although if you do get the unit pack, you get a discount, so that's quite nice. Some really beautiful detail here. Oh, I've just realised I've knocked off one of the back pieces. I'll have to see where I've put that. Very fine rusted mail, sort of links falling off it. Apart from a skull, we have what is presumably an hourglass rope tomb. And then again, that come to me style hand reaching out, offering the gift of death. Beautifully, intricately detailed. And again, separate thumb. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of the separate thumbs, but at my age there was quite a lot of swearing going on putting them together. Again, round about the 80mm mark to the top of the sword and 50 to eye level. So The spider motif is the sort of the faction motif for the Jutes. That creeping arachnid. You can see there, holes in the cloak. There's a beautiful sense of movement in the sculpts, sort of blowing around. Now, this is the one I showed off first, so we may as well come back to him. This elaborately billowing cloak. Again, nicely detailed, slight seam line. The resin is quite a heavy duty resin. Some resins you can get are relatively bendy, others are very brittle. This is a really nice mix, sits sort of midway between them. Robust enough that it's not going to start breaking or chipping, but at the same time not so flexible that you're going to end up with a load of wobbly soldiers. One more time, another individual finger. I know why they've done it, and it looks fantastic when they're assembled, but I almost wished that they'd been less dramatic with the sculpts, just to save me having to glue those fingers on. And I will say in some cases, trying to work out what way round the thumb attached was an interesting thing, because when there's no skin there and no nail, you're looking at and you're going, well, which way is out? Which bone should be connected to the metacarpals and going back into the wrist, and which should actually be the thumb? I plumped in the end with the shorter bone to be the extremity. And this is really nice. Creeping in there. Again, you'll see though some little recessed detail that needs to be sort of cleaned out. Probably going to end up using a wire wool for that. It would be the easiest way to get into the joins and conform to the actual robe itself. But that's a problem for future me. We have possibly the simplest to put together. Simple, why? No additional thumb. So just two pieces, and he's already got the scabbard attached as well. We'll need to heat this up just to straighten that out, remove the bend and the kink from it. As you can see, grasping the blade two-handed, giving us this. So I still need to straighten that somewhat. The arms are interesting. Some of them look like they have sort of rotten cloth attached to them, or perhaps it's the remnants of skin and flesh that sort of started to mummify, like a peat bog mummy. So there's a bit of texture on there. It's not just all bone. It's up to you really whether you decide to go with robe or decide to go with decaying flesh. This is our smallest. That stud I've left on so I can glue it into a base. But again, very tall, about 46mm to eye socket level, shall we say. And our final one. Again, another more elaborate piece. This time, God bless him, the thumb is attached and the rest of the hand is separate. And that is much easier to maneuver into position on this than an individual thumb is. Again, a lot of decayed rust work on the blade. Not so much on the armour of the ghast. These little sort of trinkets and the like lurking all over. Similar again with the robe. Again, we have the repeated arachnid on the belt. And it gives an absolutely beautiful sculpt, sweeping movement, and creeping right in there. So, bring them all in. If I bring them all in, I probably won't fit them all into the actual screen, but there you go. Have our tiny little sword there. And, ooh, our last one. So as far as a unit goes, for any fantasy game, absolutely spectacular. Beautiful figures. They're not the only sort of Revenant Ghast or Wight style figures that are available for Darklands from Mierce. They've got a couple more very heavily armed and armoured versions, sort of more royalty or kings, nobility. And then they've got some that have no weapons and a smattering of clothing, more like a sort of a ethereal ghost or a banshee, where they're not going to do the damage with a weapon. But that is the Malign of Alum Tomb. So there we go. Absolutely stunning models. Really nice quality of casting and sculpt on them. Really distinctive. If you're not planning on using them as for Darklands, if you're using them as wights or wraiths for something else, these will stand out a country mile. And will really have an impact on the tabletop, which is great, because I want to make my opponent cry. I still do question why they have that separate thumb or finger. Obviously, it's for casting, but as you can see from some of them, the sculpt, they were able to have partial hand on some of the arms, so it really is fiddly. When you get to my age and I have a slight tremor in my hand, it's really aggravating, but I think it's definitely worth the effort in the long run. So there you have it. If you've any questions, drop them below. Or if you're a big fan of Mierce and Darklands, let us know what you think about it. It's really a game that's sort of gone under the radar for quite some time, so I'll be fascinated to find out a bit more. Until next time, bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.